Imagine waking up in ancient Rome with a severe headache, only to find out that the cure involves a live mouse, a pinch of hellebore, and some fermented urine. Yeah, you heard that right, urine. Brace yourselves for the most bizarre medical practices of ancient Rome that will make you cringe, shudder, and maybe even laugh. But don't you guys worry, we won't be trying these remedies out on you today, so sit back and get prepared to be shocked. For thousands of years, medical science has tirelessly sought to improve human health by finding cures for various illnesses. Throughout history, a combination of hard work, intellect, and fortunate discoveries has driven the advancement of medicine. Let's not forget the ancient Romans here, who had always stayed ahead with their fair share of participation. Yet, this journey has not been without its share of dreadful mistakes, questionable choices, and cruel practices. Despite the challenges faced, the evolution of medicine has been an intriguing and eventful one, including some nasty practices as well. Join us, as we'll be stepping into the weird and wacky world of ancient Roman medicine to uncover some unusual and rather unsavory treatments that were common in days gone by. Though each is horrid in its own way, they remind us of how far we've come. So, let's get started with the most common problem and see how the ancient Romans treated headaches. Well, headaches in ancient times were believed to be curable by various remedies. Many of them involved animals. One example was a concoction made from wine that had been soaked with a chameleon, which could be sprinkled onto the sufferer's head. In more extreme cases, it was thought that touching an elephant's trunk to the head could provide relief, and the effectiveness was even greater if the elephant happened to sneeze. The Romans also believed that drinking water left over from an ox or an ass that had drunk from it could cure headaches. Another remedy involved creating a liniment by burning cloth stained with menstrual blood and mixing it with the oil of roses. And as a last resort, the severed genitals of a fox could be tied around the head to cure a persistent headache. Another common issue is nausea. Let's see the remedies ancient Romans had for it. Whether caused by natural factors or the side effects of another medication, the ancient Romans had several supposed cures for nausea. A pinch of cumin held between 3 fingers was believed to be highly effective. Another remedy involved cooking pennyroyal, a common European herb, in vinegar. Rose juice was also thought to be a good cure, but it caused drowsiness, as it was also used to treat insomnia. Strangely enough, the Romans believed that drinking large amounts of wine could cure nausea, and they had a remedy for the resulting hangover as well. However, for pregnant women suffering from nausea, eating a pomegranate or drinking its juice was recommended. As a last resort, human breast milk was believed to be a cure for nausea. It was thought to be particularly effective if the woman had already weaned her child, and even more so if the child was male. Getting to acne, a common issue that plagues many teenagers. Well, in an effort to find a cure, the Romans came up with several remedies. One such cure involved consuming crocodile meat along with cypress oil, which was believed to be effective in eliminating acne and even freckles. For persistent pimples, the Romans recommended taking a bath with a mixture of oil and sour cheese to help remove them. Alternatively, rubbing leek leaves on the affected area was believed to be effective. The juice of myrrh, when mixed with cassia and honey, was also thought to provide relief from a condition known as varus. However, if none of these remedies worked, patients were advised by the court physician of Theodosius, a Roman emperor in the 4th century, to wipe their faces with a cloth while watching a fallen star. While the reason for this unusual cure was not specified, it was believed to cause the pimples to fall off the face. Let's get to warts now, another skin problem. Well, ancient Romans had a variety of remedies for getting rid of warts as well. Burning cow dung, mouse dung, or the fat of a swan were very popular methods for wart removal. Pliny, an ancient Roman author and practitioner, recommended touching each wart with a freshly podded pea, wrapping them securely in a cloth, and throwing them backward. Another remedy involved rubbing sea foam or white sea sand onto the wart. Gold was also believed to be an effective cure, though it was likely only affordable for the wealthy. For those who had no access to these remedies, a more peculiar cure was to wait until after the 20th day of the month, lie face up on a path, gaze at the moon, and grab whatever was nearby to rub on the wart. Can you believe that? It's time now to see how the ancient Romans used to deal with constipation. Well, the ancient Romans had several remedies for constipation. One involved eating raw quinces that had been preserved in honey. Another method was to apply wolf's gall, along with different types of milk, salt, and honey, on the navel to help loosen the bowels. For those who were uneasy about using wolf's gall, a mixture of bull's gall and wormwood could be used as a suppository instead. A freshly ground beet juice was also considered effective for relieving constipation, and surprisingly, it was believed to be helpful for those suffering with diarrhea as well. Lastly, cabbage was recommended by figures such as Cato the Elder as an excellent treatment for constipation, as well as many other ailments. Then comes the flatulence. The ancient Romans had a lot of remedies for flatulence, a common side effect of many of their other cures. Chicken broth made from an old rooster and heavily salted was believed to be an effective way to clear out the bowels. Basil mixed with cobbler's blacking was believed to ease severe flatulence, but if used too often, it could lead to madness or even put the patient into a coma. Pliny recommended mixing cumin and asparagus, although this cure often caused other unspecified problems. As a last resort, ground beaver meat with vinegar and rose oil in liquid form could also help with flatulence. And if you've managed to stick around up until now, then I can understand. You must be feeling something weird happening in your stomach. Jokes apart. Let's get to a stomach-related issue now. Yeah, dysentery. Well, it's a serious condition caused by various microorganisms that leads to inflammation of the colon and bloody diarrhea. However, in ancient Rome, the treatments were not based on this knowledge, leading to some bizarre cures. One such cure was chicken soup. Bitumen, a kind of asphalt from Asia Minor, was also believed to be effective against dysentery, and it was even thought to promote menstruation in women. Another cure was to eat the flesh of a spotted lizard imported from a foreign country, after boiling it. The type of lizard was not specified though. Pomegranate flowers were also believed to have medicinal properties and were eaten to treat dysentery. Moving on. Are you sick of your yellow teeth? Let's try a Roman remedy. Today, urine may not widely be used in everyday chores despite its abundant availability. However, during Roman times, it was a different story. Urine was so valuable that people could collect it from public urinals, and there was even a tax for those who profited from the sale of this golden liquid. While many of its uses were non-medical, such as for gunpowder production or leather softening, one unappetizing use was as a tooth whitener. It was believed that the ammonia in urine could help remove stains from teeth, although it would do nothing for morning breath. This teeth-whitening method was not exclusive to ancient Romans and has been used throughout history, and even some today may be tempted to try it out. Ugh. You guys must have also heard about, or even experienced, gout. Let's see how ancient Romans got to cure it. Well, gout, a painful condition characterized by recurrent attacks of acute inflammatory arthritis, was believed to have various cures in ancient Rome. For instance, a mixture of mustard, saffron, the fat of a male goat, and the dung of a female goat was thought to be effective in alleviating the symptoms. Another remedy involved rubbing a sea hair on the infected parts and wearing shoes made of beaver skin. The skin of a type of beaver known as the Pontic beaver was believed to be the most potent. According to Pliny, the touch of a menstruating woman could also provide relief from gout. Boiling calf dung with lily bulbs was another recommended cure. However, one of the more unpleasant remedies involved using a live fox, which was tied to a stake and boiled in oil. The resulting concoction was believed to be an effective drink for curing gout. And if we talk of incontinence, this is believed to be a condition where one is unable to control their bladder, and could be treated in a number of strange ways in ancient times. For instance, soaking the bladder of a hyena in wine and consuming it was thought to be a remedy. Even more peculiar, it was believed that roasted seahorses could cure incontinence, as could a small fish found in the belly of a larger fish. Pliny suggested that boiled mice could help children suffering from incontinence. In addition, some believed that touching papyrus or linen to the tip of one's genitals, or tying a string of linen or papyrus around the genitals and leg, could provide relief. Perhaps the most bizarre cure was to burn a pig's penis, mix it with wine, and drink the resulting mixture. While under the influence of this swine wine, the person would then urinate in a dog's bed while reciting a Latin phrase that roughly translates to, "I do this so that I may not wet the bed like a dog." So weird, isn't it? And finally, epilepsy. Let's check out the Roman cures. Epilepsy is a nerve cell disorder in the brain that causes the body to experience seizures due to activity in the brain becoming abnormal. And treating epilepsy has always been a difficult task. Even in modern times, it remains a challenge. However, the ancient Romans had their own methods, which they believed were effective. One of their remedies involved drinking water from a spring that was collected during the night and stored in a dead man's skull. Another treatment involved consuming the flesh of an animal that had been killed using an iron weapon, which had previously been used to kill a human. If these remedies failed, inserting an iron nail into the ground where a seizure had occurred was also thought to be helpful. The testes of a bear or a wild boar soaked in mare's milk or water were also considered to be highly potent remedies. However, these solutions were neither practical nor timely, and if nothing worked at all, the affected individual could consume a dried camel's brain soaked in vinegar. But it's not over yet. let me add to your awe here. Ancient Romans were, in fact, fond of the medicinal properties of gladiator bodily fluids. Well, as you people may have known, the ancient Romans had a reputation for indulging in violent entertainment, such as public executions, animal hunts, chariot races, and gladiatorial games. However, their fascination with blood and gore didn't end with the death of gladiators in the arena. They even consumed it. Historical records reveal that from the 1st to the 6th century, religious and medical writers believed that drinking the blood or eating the livers of gladiators could cure epilepsy. For your common knowledge, a gladiator was a fighter who engaged in armed combat within an arena. They were pitted against other gladiators, wild beasts, or even criminals and prisoners of war. The ultimate goal was to be the last one standing, armed with only basic weaponry. Gladiators often demonstrated Roman military tactics and fighting styles, with those who survived and won being celebrated in various ways, sometimes even portrayed in popular art and culture, and those who lost were consumed alive. Well, coming back to the business. So, according to certain experts, the practice of using gladiators' blood as a cure for epilepsy can be traced back to Etruscan funeral rituals. The Etruscans were an ancient civilization that dominated the area between the Tiber and Arno rivers, south of the Apennines, and achieved their peak in the 6th century BC. Several aspects of Etruscan culture were adopted by the Romans, who succeeded them as the dominant power in the region. The Etruscans were deeply devoted to their burial customs, due to their strong religious beliefs. However, the Romans took a different approach and transformed the practice of drinking gladiators' blood into a secular tradition that persisted for centuries. After the prohibition of gladiatorial games, around 400 AD, attention turned to the blood of newly executed individuals, which were believed to possess medicinal properties capable of curing epilepsy. During the time where gladiator sports were legal in ancient Rome, people would purchase the still warm blood of the defeated gladiators, which had been collected after their throats were slit. It was believed that this blood could purify the soul, but over time, it became associated with the treatment of illnesses, particularly epilepsy. According to Pliny the Elder, people suffering from epilepsy had a habit of consuming the blood of gladiators, which was considered to be a source of vitality. To your further surprise, the bodily fluids of gladiators, such as their sweat, was in high demand, especially among wealthy Roman women who paid a premium for dirt and sweat from the bodies of famous gladiators. A curved metal blade called a strigil was used to scrape sweat and dirt from the gladiator's skin before bathing, and the collected vials were sold outside the gladiatorial games. These were then applied directly to the face or mixed with cosmetics and perfumes, both reserved for women of status. Gladiator blood was also highly valued, with women using it to coat their jewelry, combs, and wigs, and even mixing it with cosmetics. The more successful and famous the gladiator, the more potent his blood and sweat was believed to be. Well, there you have it. Thank you for watching Unthinkable Past. Until the next time we meet, continue learning and stay healthy. Goodbye.